This is Karen Ranzi of Super Healthy Children, and I'm here in Diamond Point, New York. It's actually the Woodstock Fruit Festival. Really beautiful here, and I'm so excited to be here with author and longtime pioneer in the raw food movement, Frederic Patenaude. Thank you so much for being on this video.
Hi, Karen.
And so we're going to talk a little bit today about some of Frederic's work, and I've really loved his books and gotten a lot out of the book Raw Secrets, and I'm going to ask him some questions about Raw Secrets. And I'm also I'm in love with the book Instant Raw Sensations, and this is a book I highly recommend for families. Has a great abundance of recipes that are very quick and easy for parents who want to have dishes that are very simple, nourishing, and quick to make in the kitchen that you can do with your kids, and that's what all families need. And so I'm going to start with just asking Frederic a little bit about his book Raw Secrets, which came out right a while ago. When was the year that it came out?
It came out in 2002. Yeah, so
wow. I didn't realize that it's that
almost
long.
10 years, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so
well, that was like the first book that really got me understanding that I was eating way too much fat from nuts and seeds, and I really started to reduce the nuts and seeds. And I know that in a lot of the with a lot of the families who I work with, that they're telling me that they're not feeling that good from raw food. And I think a lot of times people come in and they follow more of a transition diet and raw gourmet. So can you explain a little bit about your own theories of how the body works, and what happens and some of the mistakes that people are making?
Yeah, Karen, I wrote Raw Secrets. I have a few books, but I wrote Raw Secrets in 2002 after having been a raw foodist for about 3 or 4 years, 100%, and having experienced a lot of problems. So I was young, I had been promised ultimate health, perfect health, and it didn't happen for me. So I felt cheated by all these raw gurus that said, this is, you just eat raw, and I discovered another way to do it. So Raw Secrets, what I wanted to do is, I think it was the first book from a raw foodist that criticized the raw food diet. So it was not necessarily a book written for most people, although a lot of people said they read Raw Secrets and they decided to go raw or eat more raw foods. But I wrote it for people that already knew about raw foods to kind of criticize and talk about the mistakes that people commonly make on the raw food diet. So maybe I went a little bit on a tangent, but I wanted to give a little background on why I wrote this book.
That's good information. I mean, I think that many people who started to follow raw food, they wanted to eat things that were familiar, and so they were making their raw pizzas, and I'm sure that for them it was a step in the direction going towards raw food, but many of them tell me now that they stayed there way too long. And so I think that a book like yours is absolutely necessary to really guide people to what's going to feel better, what's going to give them more energy, what's going to be most digestible.
Yeah. I think what I wanted to point out in the book was that people eat raw foods for the wrong reasons. So they want to go raw for the sake of raw food. So thinking as long as it's raw, it's healthy. So, but I don't think that raw foods is like the number one principle in health to follow. It's more, you need to follow, originally the idea was eat fruits and vegetables, eat some nuts and seeds, but eat mostly fruits and vegetables. And that was the recommendation. But people, instead of thinking in those terms, they thought about, okay, you need to eat raw food. So how can we make everything raw? But then you're no longer eating fruits and vegetables, you're eating mostly nuts, oils, etc. So it becomes a very high-fat diet, very unhealthy diet, and also a very unsatisfying diet. Most people find it's just not something they can sustain for very long.
Right. And I think that people who have had certain problems have not had healing of those issues through that kind of a lifestyle. Like there was one woman who wrote a story for my book, Creating Healthy Children, and she said that she had arthritis and she came to raw foods from that, and then later on she started raw foods with more transition food, gourmet, and there was a period where she actually felt worse. And then when she got more simple and more, understanding that fruits and vegetables in and of themselves were what was beneficial, that's when she started really reaping the benefits. So that's so true. And what about like the green leafy vegetables? I think that's also something that a lot of times people don't have enough of in their diets.
Yeah,
to me, I think that's important.
It goes back to the idea of eat fruits and vegetables, So fruits and vegetables.
Right.
So it's the principle is not just eat raw foods, but eat fruits and vegetables and greens. I would like to see like 4 categories of food: fruits, sweet fruits, then greens in one category. Vegetables would be tomatoes, cucumbers, even if they could be botanically fruits, but we're just anything that's a vegetable that is not sweet. And then fatty foods. So those are like my 4 categories. And greens, like you said, is a very important one. So that's
important.
a common mistake to not consume enough greens. Yeah.
Yes. And in fact, the greens, they have so much in them that women need. I'm always recommending them for pregnant women. A lot of women have problems getting enough iron during pregnancy and lactation. So there's plenty of iron in green leafy vegetables, and there's folate, and all the vitamins and loads of minerals, calcium. They just have such an abundance that to leave them out is a big mistake.
Yeah,
and growing kids really need them. And there's a lot of great ways to get the greens in, even if the children aren't eating salads. So the green smoothies are a great way to do it. How do you like to eat your greens?
I like to eat a daily salad, a big daily salad. And I have kind of a rule with salad is put at least 10 ingredients in the salad. And it used to be, my rule used to be keep the salad as simple as possible. But even if I don't put 10 ingredients, I think in terms, what else could I put? Maybe I'm going to put a vegetable that I'm not using, or maybe grate some cabbage. So I'm thinking, how can I make my salad different every time? So that's a quick idea. Make a 10 ingredient salad. Even if it ends up being 7 ingredients, at least you've tried new things in your salad.
Wow. And he's totally 100% right on that. The variety is so important, and a lot of the people I think who move and transition to this raw food lifestyle tend not to go for variety. So it's really important. I used to tell my kids when we were at the farmer's market or at the health food store in the produce section, I tell them to pick a fruit and a vegetable for every color of the rainbow. Mm-hmm. And so that's pretty much, getting all of that.
Yeah, that's a similar idea.
Yeah, that's great. Frederic also has a more current book called Raw Food Controversies. It's like a 430-page book, I think,
yeah,
right?
something like that.
But it's got like a lot of information on dental health with raw food. And can you tell us some of the other things that are in that book?
Well, it's first of all, it's like an interesting story of my insider, knowledge of what was happening in the raw food world as I was meeting all these gurus and what was really going on. But then I talk about essentially all the major raw food mistakes, food combining, but not in the same way as Raw Secrets. It's more about demystifying certain arguments that are used in favor of the raw food diet, perhaps improperly. So children, I even have a little chapter on children with my limited knowledge, not as much as you, but I do talk a little bit about that. And then just the common mistakes. On top of my head, there's just so many, but I know everything pretty much is touched upon.
Great. That's exciting. And your website is fredericpatenaude.com.
Exactly, yeah.
That's great. So you can go see more information about Frederic and his work at fredericpatenaude.com. Thank you so much, Frederic.
Thank you, Karen.